For the latest in strategic affairs, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Click the bell icon for updates.
What do you think, Shehbaz Sharif's abilities and intentions are, considering the system? In Afghanistan, you've tweeted saying that he's just the mayor of Islamabad. Many would actually say that applies to all Pakistani foreign policy and anything to do with the army.
I mean, ultimately, that's my opinion, right? I don't think, essentially the prime minister's house it's basically a rental apartment and the landlord is the army, right? So I think the difference between Shehbaz Sharif and Imran Khan is that Imran Khan was very vocal on policy issues where he had a very distinctly divergent view from that of the army, right? So Imran Khan he ran on a platform of anti-Americanism, anti-Westernism, anti-Indianism, and he tried to, basically hoist Pakistan up on global Islamist issues while being, of course, studiously silent and even obtuse when it came to the Chinese persecution of the Uyghurs. So the Pakistan army really wants something else, right? The Pakistan army doesn't want a complete rupture with the United States because, quite frankly, it would like to continue having a defense supply relationship, something, of course, I strenuously oppose. It wants to make sure that Pakistan continues to be on the FATF gray list because getting a blacklisting will mean that it will not have access to IMF funds. So what a prime minister can do, a prime minister can shift domestic opinion towards directions that antagonize the army. And that's certainly what Imran Khan did. The other thing, of course, that Imran Khan did was that these rules are finite and they're knowable. When Benazir Bhutto was literally picked to become the prime minister, after Zia al-Haq was killed, she was told, you can be the prime minister, but you have to accept a couple of terms. The first term is you don't get in the business of the army and you don't muck around in foreign policy. And by extension, you don't engage in domestic policy issues that will impinge upon either of those. And Imran Khan violated all of those terms of agreement that would allow him to continue to be the prime minister, right? He got into the business of Bajwa with the appointment of the ISI chief. He was really wanting to keep the ISI chief in place for the 2023 elections because he was so important in getting Imran Khan elected. And then, of course, Khan was very supportive of Putin. He was actually in Russia the very day that Putin launched the war on Ukraine, and Bajwa came out in opposition to it. So this was just not tenable at all. And then, of course, Imran Khan positioned him. And interestingly enough, he always had positioned himself as being the person that was going to bring the army to heel. So all of this just made him unpalatable. And this is in addition, of course, to the general shambolic state of Pakistan's economy. And because he was seen as the army's puppet as a part of this hybrid regime, all of this began to reflect poorly upon the army. And to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if the army shifts out Bajwa altogether sooner than later, because the showdown with Khan is also not working to the army's advantage, right? The people have turned against Bajwa. And that's the kind of situation that does motivate the army to swap out chiefs. This is in addition to, of course, his controversial extensions of his term, which typically causes discord within the ranks.
Sure. Interesting you're saying that, because the DG-ISPR had a press conference today where, they can say whatever they want, but he did say that he's not going to extend his term, that is General Bajwa, beyond 29th of November, and he intends to resign. He also, completely threw Imran Khan on the bus in terms of the US, the so-called diplomatic cables, etc. But since you're talking about untenability, how tenable is the opposition? They have a one-point agenda at the moment.
Right.
They achieved that. That is getting Imran Khan out. But what next?
So again, this is a situation that plays to the army's hand, right? Because what the army never wants is a prime minister with a solid mandate, right? That was the problem with the Nawaz Sharif election in 2013, is that he didn't need a coalition. He actually won with an outright majority, and that gave Nawaz Sharif the flexibility, mandate, if you will, to, for example, try to prosecute Musharraf for treason. So, what the army always wants is a prime minister in a fragile coalition that it can manipulate, right? So, what the ISI is spectacular at is manipulating the outcome of elections before, during, and most importantly, after an election, right? So, the ISI was critical, for example, in helping Imran Khan get coalition partners so that he could form that government. Without the ISI, it's not clear he could have done it. So Shehbaz Sharif is going to be very dependent upon this coalition, which, as you said, it's got nothing in common except the desire to get Imran Khan out. And so he's going to be literally serving at the pleasure of the army. Now, of course, all prime ministers do this, but his situation is extremely precarious. And then he has another problem, right? It's virtually impossible to imagine that Shehbaz Sharif is going to be able to do anything with respect to Pakistan's economy in a way that will make people happy, right? He will most certainly have to get rid of the fuel subsidies that Imran Khan had in place, especially as the Russian war in Ukraine stretches on. And so the COVID continues to put price pressure on things, especially as virtually everything is made in China that we all consume. I don't know about what Indians are experiencing, but Americans, we're experiencing considerable shortfalls of products that come from China because of the uptick of COVID in China, and the factories are being shut down. So it's also hard to imagine that Shehbaz Sharif, when the elections are conducted in 2023, uh, that his party is going to fare terribly well. So all of his political prospects are really going to rely upon the extent to which he continues to accommodate the Pakistan army's concerns. And I actually expect he will, right? I mean, I think when Nawaz Sharif was ousted, essentially by the Supreme Court, everyone was talking about, well, why don't they just replace Nawaz Sharif with Shehbaz? Shehbaz has always had really good relations with the Pakistan army. And so he has never had this antagonistic relationship that his brother had. So we'll see. You know, from my point of view, watching Pakistani politics is a little bit like watching basketball. I don't bother watching it until the last 3 minutes because everything that you
But
watch can
at least
change.
in basketball, there's a fixed time, and you can wait for those last three
Exactly.
minutes.
Unlike
In
cricket.
Pakistan, how do you know when the last 3 minutes are going to
No, I
actually
meant
take
with
place?
the Supreme Court. Like, I know a lot of
Yeah,
people
yeah,
were like,
true,
"Oh, the Supreme Court's going to
true.
do this," and I'm like, "You don't know what the damn Supreme Court's going to do," because the
Mm.
Supreme Court, what the Supreme Court really was a measure of what the army wanted to do. Right. And if you understood that, then it was a foregone conclusion that they were going to uphold the no confidence vote. So, yes, your point is you don't know when it's going to end. But for me, um, this, this, the denouement of this current drama will happen with the 2023 elections. And then a new drama is going to begin.
So you can watch the last 3 minutes of
The
that as well.
last 3 minutes. I don't know about you,
Yeah.
but, like, I've been watching Pakistani politics for 30 years, and, I think the people who are just new to it, right? It's very fascinating, and it seems unpredictable, and it seems like riding a wild roller coaster. But when you've been watching it for as long as I have, it's not unpredictable. It's very predictable. It's always the same roller coaster. The only thing that's changing are the individuals in it.